Remember to stay hydrated, and today we're going to be talking about a bunch of brand new Civivi and WE knives that just hit the market. I've got 8 different knives in front of me, and I'm going to try to go through these as fast as possible so we're not wasting your valuable time. But for now, sit back, relax, and let's get it. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Minimalist. My name is Brandon, and today we've got a bunch of different Civivi and WE knives in front of us. I'll be going over all 8 of these different models as fast as possible, and just a quick disclaimer, Civivi and WE did send these knives out for review. However, I did let them know that I'm going to give you guys my genuine feedback, whether it's positive or negative. If you guys are interested in purchasing any of these knives below, I'll be leaving a link to House of Blades, which they stock a bunch of Civivi and WE knives. Just use code EDM on checkout and you'll also get 10% off. Let's go ahead and get started with the first model, and this is going to be the Civivi Savant. This is a brand new model with the cabochon wood inlays, steel frame lock, a drop point blade, and 14C28N blade steel. And in my opinion, this thing nails it in terms of aesthetics. It looks like a really clean, symmetrical type of knife, but it's a little bit bigger than I would personally like. Of course, you've got a pretty decent deep carry pocket clip here, and Civivi does have their pocket clips down. If you've ever handled or owned a Civivi knife, then you'd be expecting the same thing from like the Elementum and a bunch of other models. The biggest disadvantage of this knife is how heavy it is. Of course, it's a steel frame lock, so it's not a lightweight knife whatsoever. And then in terms of the overall size, we're looking at a medium to large form factor. It's a neat little knife for 75 bucks, but this would not be my first pick. After that, we've got another knife that has a cabochon wood inlays, and this is the Civivi Cetos. This is a steel frame lock along with a steel pocket clip. You've got a 14C28N blade along with a spear point form factor. Now, in terms of this knife, this is probably one of the ones that I would not really suggest just because I'm not a huge fan of spear point blades. It looks like it's more of a gentleman's type of knife. It's very sleek, of course. However, it does have a few forms of deployment. You can use the flipper tab, you can use this fuller, so doing a reverse flick is no problem. And then ergonomically, it's comfortable, but it's not the best out there for its price point. This thing goes for about 63 bucks, and I think it just isn't up to par in terms of the other knives that are on the table. The next one that we've got is the Thug 2. Now, this is a very interesting knife, something that I probably wouldn't go for if I was trying to buy one, just because of the overall form factor. You can tell that this thing is super chubby, and it's not really my aesthetic. You've got a Nitro V blade with a compound ground Tonto blade shape, and it's a liner lock with G10 scales. Overall, this knife just isn't for me. At 75 bucks, you can probably find something better. If you're into that really chubby style type of knife, then it might be for you. The thing that I probably like most about this knife is going to be that blackout aesthetic, but aside from that, it's just kind of eh. Before we dive into the next few models, let's go ahead and give a quick word for today's sponsor. This video was brought to you by the House of Blades. The gents over there have a fantastic warehouse with a bunch of different offerings. They stock brands like Benchmade, ZT, Microtech, Spyderco, WE Knives, Civivi, and a bunch of others. On top of that, if you want to personalize your knife and truly make it yours, they do offer a really cool laser engraving service. You can literally send over your logo or whatever text you want engraved on the blade, and they will do it for you. I personally love customizing my own knives, so if you guys are into that stuff, go check out their website, and if you decide to order, use code EDM at checkout, and that will get you an additional 10% off your order. Thank you so much to House of Blades for supporting Everyday Minimalist. Let's get back to the video. Now, the next one might be one of my favorites, and this is going to be the brand new Civivi Voltaic or Voltaic, whatever you want to say there. And the reason why I like this one is because it's very slim, minimal, and I really dig this drop point blade shape. You've got 14C28N blade steel as well as cabochon wood inlays and that deep carry pocket clip, but this one feels very nice in the hands. On top of that, you do have a forward finger choil or sharpening choil, and this makes it so you can really choke up into your cuts. The biggest negative I have for this knife is the overall weight. This thing is not lightweight whatsoever, but I think it makes up in the other aspects. You've got that steel frame lock. It also has a fuller, so you can actually do a reverse flick without any issues. The action on this one is probably the cleanest out of all the ones that I've shown you so far. It's going to be more of a full-size knife, so if you're looking for something large, then this is going to be one for you that I can recommend. The Voltaic goes for 77 bucks, and so far it's my favorite one. The next next one is gonna be the Teraxe. This is a very interesting knife because of how large it is and how chunky it is. When I say chunky, it's very heavy, and that's probably because everything is steel on this thing, whether it's gonna be the show side scale or the back side. You've got a G10 inlay as well as this huge drop point blade made out of Nitro V. The Teraxe goes for about $105, which I think it's the biggest drawback with this knife. The thing is, it feels very similar to like a CRKT knife. I can't really put it in my head which model, but in terms of the overall feel, it feels more similar to like a $50 knife. I feel like this would be a fantastic user knife, but in terms of me carrying this in my personal rotation, it's a bit too heavy for me to put in the pockets and actually use. Now, the thing that does set this one apart from all the others is it does have several different deployment methods, whether it be with the thumb stud, you've also got the flipper tab, and then you can do that reverse flick with the thumb stud as well. But yeah, this knife is kind of in my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt, make your own decisions. Now, this is going to be the last Civivi knife, and that's going to be the brand new Civivi Civivi Plus. Now, with the original Civivi, that thing was just a bit too small for me, and I didn't like the locking mechanism because it didn't have one. On the new Civivi Plus, this thing has a liner lock built in, and it's got Nitro V blade steel with the reverse Tonto blade. At least that's what they want to call it. This is very unique. This one has the ivory G10 scales along with a deep carry pocket clip, which is actually pretty decent. This knife goes for $65. It's a front flipper, so if you don't have a front flipper, this might be a really good segue into that genre. And overall, I think this is a really great utility type of knife if you're trying to open up packages all day long, or if you're doing some work in the kitchen. It's got some really interesting geometry going on here. Basically, if you're going to be chopping on a cutting board, you can make those really refined cuts because your hand is up here while the blade is still flat. I can 100% recommend this Civivi Plus because it's a really good one. We're almost done with these guys, I promise. There's only 2 WE knives left, and the first one is going to be the brand new WE Starhawk. This thing is a very interesting knife because it has these really cool milled patterns on the scale, and then on top of that, the blade is very unique. I don't think I've ever seen another knife similar to this one specifically. It does go for about $245, so it is quite expensive, but you're getting the material to back that. So you've got a 20 CV blade. I think this is either a sheep's foot reverse Tonto blade shape, and then again, titanium all around. You've got a titanium pocket clip, and then in terms of ergos, this thing is very comfortable. In terms of deployment, you can use the flipper tab. It's also got a fuller, so you can do a reverse flick. Then I actually haven't tried the thumb flick. Let's give that a shot right now. Yeah, no. The reverse flick and the flipper tab is how you're gonna wanna open up this thing. This is an absolutely badass knife, and at $245, this is actually not too bad. WE Knives does a fantastic job with most of their models. So I saved the very best for last, and this happens to be the most expensive one on the list, coming in at $300, but this is the brand new WE Baloo. Now, this knife is absolutely stunning, guys. I don't think I have a single knife in my collection that can match up with this thing just because of how minimalistic it is. This thing literally has 2 visible screws. That's going to be here, and then on the other side for the pivot. Aside from that, it's pretty much bare. It's got very minimalistic branding. You've got the WE logo here on the pivot, and then the O-Step Hell logo here on the back side, just showing you guys what it is. It's got a 20 CV drop point blade. It's a titanium frame lock with some carbon fiber inlays. Now, this knife is very interesting because of the overall ergonomics. When you go to grip it, the drop point blade actually falls very close to the physical top side of the scale. So when you're making those cuts, it feels like the tip is in line with your finger, and it's a really different type of experience. The frame lock action is very nice, and the way to deploy this is you can either reverse flick it or you can do the front flip method. Either way, this is a great knife, and I absolutely love this design. All right, so there you guys go. All 8 different models. I think this is going to be like a 10 to 15 minute video. We'll see when I go to edit it in the future, but I want to know which one is your guys' most favorite knife. Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, throw me a thumbs up. If you disliked it, throw me a thumbs down, and I'll try to do better next time. Shout outs to all of my patrons and return subscribers. This channel would not be a thing without you guys. Aside from that, thank you guys so much for spending your time with me today. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.